Hey guys, let's see the agenda for today. And we have the ups and downs of the double round week. We have our team results, the coach of the week for round 12, and our team formation. Let's start with the credit bank.
And here in the credit bank, we have a lot of players with great performances in the double round week. So these are the results after two rounds, not just the last round. So round 11 and round 10. We can see everyone on the left-hand side that increased their value quite a lot. Been actually, I would say, perhaps Bar Brooks, a good choice for you. Brian is really expensive now with 16 credits, but he does a little bit of everything, scoring, rebounding, assisting, every little thing, getting fouls. So he's been super consistent. So even though 16 credits valuation, still quite good. Then everyone else in this list we would go for. And then we have the two players from Milano, Brooks and Ellis. I think both the same valuation now after this double round week, 8.3 credits. Potentially we would prefer Ellis because he can contribute on different stat lines. So that means you don't have to be in an amazing shooting night to be able to write a lot of fantasy points. On the other hand, we see a lot of big names on the downfall here, especially Misic perhaps is getting a little bit cheap for his calibre, the 14.7, but he's not having the explosive games yet. But obviously one of the next games will be explosive. So if he's a player that you would really love in your team, then perhaps it's a good chance to add him now. And then finally we have Obst with 8.2 to be also a good selection here. He had an off game on the round 10, and then he got rested on the round 11. So potentially it's time for him to bounce back with just 8.2 credits. Then moving into forward position, again, on the left-hand side, we have 7 players with very good results. We can see a lot of players actually below the 10 credits here. And I think bar Mitoglu, that he's been not very consistent till now. Everyone else we think is a great opportunity to use in your team as a cheaper option. And finally, we have Lou Cabarro going up to 12 credits. He's been a pure scorer this year for Baskonia, so we still believe it's a great valuation. And then finally, Sorkin might be a bit expensive for him at this point. However, it's still a great choice. So it depends on how you view Sorkin at this point. At the start of the year, we thought he will have a better fantasy season, but here we are. He's picking it up lately, so it tends to see whether he can keeps on these great performances. On the players that they didn't really have a great double round week, there is nothing really we would choose at this point. We're just gonna keep an eye, especially on the expensive players like Hezonia and Osman, that they could, in theory, pick it up, but nothing, amazing to run to buy from the free agency. In terms of centers, Farid came into back into Euroleague, and he had 2 amazing debut games, 10.1 credits. With what we've seen the previous 2 games, we think it's a solid selection at this valuation. And then of course we have the usual with Milutinov, extremely expensive now, but extremely effective. You can see he gave 52 fantasy points almost 52 fantasy points in this double round week. Finally, we have, we mentioned it before, and he continues to be on that list, Diouf, a great option below the 8 credits bank. As you can see, he increased by 0.7. So it's a great valuation if you want to make an all-around team. And finally, if we look also on the right-hand side, Ties that he's been really inconsistent on his performances, fantasy-wise at least. He has almost the same valuation with Kabengele, so we would prefer Kabengele over Ties. And then on the right-hand side, we would just keep an eye on Nebo. He lost one round the last. He missed. The round 11. But then I think he's back. I think it was round 11, wasn't it, that he missed? Yeah. And now he's back into action. So worth keeping an eye. Again, though, 11.1, we need to see a little bit progress on fantasy for him, because as we mentioned before, there are players, around 10 or less than 10 that could be more, let's say, reliable right now. So with that said, let's go on and see how we did this double round week.
Yeah, and as you see in round 10, we managed to have 171.20 fantasy points, gaining 1.4 credits. And then round 11, it was not so good. It was just 136.67, and we just gained 0.4 credits. From round 10, Milutinov was steady again. Same with Lubavo, Kabarov, Vajankov. Osmani had a great game with 23 fantasy points. Hifi, 18. Lyles, 24. Almost everyone performed. Motiejunas had 12 fantasy points, and Coach Messina gave us 10. However, as you see, Ops had -3. As Bill mentioned, he had a -6 game, but on the bench it's just 50%. So overall, from round 10, we were not disappointed. But moving to round 11, as you see, Vajankov just 10 fantasy points. Coach Obradovic -5. So also Motiejunas -0.9. You see on the bench it's 50%. So as you see from these two players and the coach, who didn't gain that much. Also Lyles had an off game, just 6 fantasy points. But you see Avramovic, as Bill mentioned, for it debuted in Euroleague. It was also a debut for Avramovic with Dubai Basket in Euroleague this week, and had 29.7 fantasy points and an amazing game from Avramovic. Lubavo Kabarov 22, Milutinov as a captain 40, Hifi almost 18 again, 17.6. So overall, you see some players performed, but some of the big names, as you see, for example, Vajankov, Lyles, didn't give us this boost that we needed. And the coach, of course, we have mentioned in previous shows that the selection for the coach plays a major difference. Because, for example, in round 10, Coach Messina gave us just 10 fantasy points. But if you count the -5 from Coach Obradovic, that's plus 15 fantasy points in total. So it can give you big boost, the selection of a good coach. And before we move on to the coach of the week, Bill, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, it was just down to last basket, the game that Partizan lost. To be honest, it still seems like the right decision, because of all the absences that Asvel had. But then, even Zelimir Obradovic, after the game, he was not very happy with his players. So there is nothing more we can say. Sometimes it goes this way. And trying to avoid that, then for the next week, we are choosing Coach Barzokas, as they are coming from also a tough game when they lost versus Milano, and they need to bounce back. And they play at home versus Paris Basketball. It is an expensive option, but we think Olympiacos have the quality, the players to bounce back and get that game. And we really think we should get minimum the 10 points. But, this is fantasy, you never know. But that's how we go. There are a couple of more choices this week. For example, you could say Itoudis could be an option, or Spanoulis as well, although perhaps someone would say Derby for France, so it's difficult to select a coach from a Derby, or maybe the very cheap option of Ivanovic, risky option versus Maccabi. But let's see what we've done with our team and who is our coach.
Yeah, and keep in mind we have unlimited trades for this round. And also we have round 12 has 3 turns. Keep in mind. So taking this into consideration, that's where you see a lot of names in the changes. We kept Nikola Milutinov. He was our main target for the center position since the last round, and we managed to get him. And we brought alongside him Kenneth Farid. As Bill mentioned, he had a strong debut, big games in Euroleague, and since there are a lot of injured players at the moment for Panathinaikos at the 5 position, we believe he will get the minutes definitely and continue with the momentum that he has at the moment. Then we kept Vajankov, Osmani to the team, Lovavuka Baro, as well as you see also Herrera. You see it's just 5.7 credits, but he gets the playing time and contributes in scoring. Coach, we brought in Coach Barzokas, home game for Olympiacos, and he has the quality, and it's time to build this momentum again, the winning momentum for starting with the game versus Paris. We brought then Bryant. That was another goal we had. We had to sacrifice Hifi and Avramovic, both of them, and also Lyles, replacing him with Samadurov. But we managed to get Bryant and Dorsey. Dorsey had, in the last 4 games, he has only 1 off game, just 6 fantasy points, but he is in rhythm. He's an amazing scorer and a key player for Olympiacos, definitely at the moment. And then the filler is Miljanovic from Crvena Zvezda, just for credit guard, but he plays as we see, and he can contribute between 4 and 7 fantasy points. So overall, we wanted to build a more depth in the team, but with some big names, for example, Bryant, who is in great form. And we had a lot of discussions about keeping or not Sasa Vajankov, but Vajankov, you never know. In the next game, he might get 30 points and, I don't know, 8 rebounds. So that was a big risk not having him in the team. So that's where we kept him. It's a solid all-around team in our eyes. Bill, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, since you mentioned is a 3 days turn, three turns this round. Ideally, if you like someone from turn 1, he could be your captain and utilize that let's say, chance of one more try for the best chance. Obviously, if you could replace Brian with James, as James is playing on turn one with around similar valuation, I think a little bit more expensive. So it could be a good choice as well for captain on turn one. And then captain for turn two for us is Brian. And then, of course, captain for turn three is going to be a tough one to choose between Milutinov, Vezenkov, Luau, Cabarro, and Dorsey, I would say, all strong options. But I think our dilemma probably will be between Milutinov and Vezenkov, and probably something we'll have to discuss and decide last minute.
That's true.
Yes, I don't know what you think, but
well, to be honest, if I had to choose now, I will go with Milutinov simply because he seems unstoppable at the moment. He has a momentum that until now he seems the most dominant center at the moment in Euroleague.
Exactly, yeah.
Because he gets the rebounds and the scoring as well. I wanted to add also, because you mentioned James for turn one, that was for captain a solid pick as well. But if also you need an alternative, not necessarily as a captain, but an alternative instead of, for example, Osmani, or you don't have the credits to get Lovavuka Barrow, Armel Traore is another option with 8.8 credits for the forward position from Asvel. The last 3 games he is amazing for Asvel.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, we're gonna have more options for you guys in Real Hoopers Hub website, when you can see our picks for this round. Enjoy the round 12 and see you soon.
Yeah, guys, enjoy the games and see you soon.